Alrighty. Well, I guess others will catch the replay, hopefully. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Severin Bryan of www.sevtalksmoney.com, the Severin Bryan of sevtalksmoney.com. And I just wanted to hop on here today to share a little bit of financial tidbits. Today, I want to focus on student loans. Recently, we know that the CARES Act was passed, and it had some protections in there for people with student loans. And one thing I have noticed in some groups that I'm on Facebook, based on the questions being asked, some people don't understand what they qualify for. So I wanted to just jump on here just for a few minutes and just share a couple of tips. The first thing is, if your loan is federally backed, then you automatically qualify for this forbearance, meaning you don't have to do anything. Your loan servicer should automatically stop accruing interest on your loan, stop sending you notices for payments, and any information they send to the credit bureau should say that you've paid, even though you may not have paid anything, because the CARES Act allows you to forbear, gives them permission to put your loan in forbearance, meaning no interest will accrue, and you don't have to make any payments. Now, you may choose to make payments, and here are some qualifiers that you may consider if you want to make payment or just wait until September 30th, which is when the forbearance period ends. As of now, they may extend it, but as of now, it ends September 30th. So you may want to pay on your loan if you have a healthy emergency fund. If you have a healthy emergency fund, then you may want to pay, because what that does is in September, when the forbearance period ends, you've reduced your loan, and so you have less money for the interest rate to be accrued. So let's say you owe $10,000, and now you're in forbearance because your loans qualify, and you decide, I'm going to pay $2,000 per month for the next 4 months. You've dropped your loan $8,000. So now when it's September, when your loan comes out of forbearance, you're only paying interest on $2,000. That's a lot of savings. But I would only recommend you do that if you have a healthy savings account, healthy emergency fund, because with COVID, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with jobs. We don't know what's going to happen with the economy. So if you do not have a healthy emergency fund, and I'm talking healthy meaning 6 months to a year, then don't pay anything, because you don't have to. Now, if you have private student loans, unfortunately, you're not covered by the CARES Act. So what you may want to do is call your loan servicer and ask them for what kind of protections you can have, what kind of program you can get into so you don't have to pay. If you've lost your job, you can't pay. So call your loan servicer and try to make some kind of arrangement with them so you don't have to pay anything. They may continue to accrue interest, but at least you're not having to pay a lump sum right now every month, because you just don't have it. Now, that is as far as the CARES Act go. Now, as far as refinancing your loan, I strongly advise that if you have federal loans, that you do not refinance into a private loan. And the reason for that is private loans does not have the protections that federal loans do. Right now, we see we're in the CARES Act, and private loans are not covered. If you have a federal loan, it's automatically covered. So there are lots of protections. There is the forgiveness program. There are lots of protections that the federal loan carry that private loans do not. Federal loans, you can put your federal loans in forbearance. You can put your federal loans in deferment. You may not have that option with a private loan. So this is just my advice is, if you can if you have the choice of not refinancing your federal student loans to private loans, then do not do so. Now, you can also refinance your federal loans into, let's say you have 4 or 5 loans. You know, you got one maybe in junior year, you got one in senior year, you got one in freshman year. So you have several loans, right? Well, each of those loans are going to have different interest rates depending on when you took out those loans. If you decide, you know what, I just want one payment, I don't want to be worried about all these different loans and all of that, I just want one loan number, one payment, well, you might think that's something good, but here's what happens. If you have a loan for 3%, and then you have, and let's say that's a $10,000 loan, and then you have one for 5%, and then you have one for 6%, right? If you refinance those loans, more than likely you're going to lose that 3%. That low interest rate that you had, you're going to lose that. So you may find that refinance, and right now loans may be 5-6%. So guess what? All your loans now are going to be under that 6% umbrella. So you've lost the 3%, you've lost that 5%. So everything is now accrued at 6%, which means you're paying more because you've refinanced all your loans into that one interest rate. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to share is with federal loans, you have different payment types. So if you are, because it went at the end of your college years, you're going to get a notice saying your payment is going to be some crazy number. Because mine was some crazy number, and I'm saying to myself, if I were to pay this, I couldn't live. So come on, student loan folks. But if you go onto the studentaid.gov website, you can arrange to have student loans be paid under different types of payment methods. You can choose the pay as you earn, repay as you earn, and some other ones. Now, what the pay as you earn does is, if I'm only making $50,000 this year, it looks at what I'm earning now and it calculates my payment based on that. If I make $30,000 next year, then guess what? My loan payment are going to be lower next year. Unfortunately, if you make more, then your student loans are going to be more the following year. And they have a recertification program, meaning that at the end of your, whenever you, for example, mine started in September, I think it was, or October. I think it was October. So October of each year, I have to send them my tax returns. I have to send them all my financial information and say, hey, this is what I'm making. And based on that, they will increase or decrease depending on what you send them. Okay, so the pay as you earn, it kind of has some built-in protection, because you're not obligated to pay this set amount whether your income goes up or down. So if your income goes down and they have you paying $1,000 a month and you're not in that program, you have to pay $1,000 a month and you have no option. But if you're in the repay, the pay as you earn program in any of those programs, then your loan amount will decrease because you're now earning less money. And so you want to call your loan servicer. You want to go on the studentaid.gov. Let me verify that. I think it's studentaid.gov. You want to go on that website, and there are things you can play with the numbers. You can go in and you can see all the different payment options, and you can play with the numbers and see, which one is going to work for me. You can, and of course, every year when they recertify, you can change the type of payment. Some of them, you can change the type of payment plan that you go in. Now, what I would suggest is, if you're a student in college now, thank you, Lisa. If you are a student in college right now, then I would suggest that as much as you can, pay the interest on those unsubsidized loans. Because I had no idea that when I was in college, and unsubsidized interest, the interest that was accruing on the unsubsidized loans, I had no idea that they were just going to add that onto my principal, and that becomes my new principal. Because my plan was, well, once I leave school, I'm just going to pay that interest that's been accruing, and then I'll start paying on my principal. Doesn't work like that. They add that interest onto your principal. So now you're paying interest on top of interest. And each year when you recertify, if you don't pay off the accrued interest, they add that interest, and you're not paying interest on top of interest on top of interest. So I would say to any student that's right now in college, if you can pay down the interest that's accruing each month, because it's probably not going to be a lot. Because if you're in, I didn't have loans for my undergrad or my master's, but for my doctorate I did, and that's the big one, the big amounts. But for undergrad, especially if you're in an in-school, in-state school, or you're going to a community college or something, your loan amount might be like $2,000. Your interest might be like maybe $50 a year, if that. So you can pay that off. Pay that so that when you leave school, you're not adding that interest on top of that. Because think about that. You have a loan of $1,000, and they charge you interest of 6%. So that is added on to that 1,000. And then the next year, if you're graduated and you're now paying, and you're not paying the full interest amount, so that interest that accrued that year for the end of that recertification period gets added on. So you're now paying that 1,000, you're paying the interest that was added, and you're paying on the second interest that was added onto that interest. So you want to try to pay down as much of your interest as possible. No, that's for college students. For those who now have student loans that you're paying on, my advice is, if you have, let's say, 5 student loans, and each one is going to accrue a certain amount of interest each month, pay just the interest on the 4 loans, and then pay everything on the main loan, on one of your loans. You can use the Snowball Method or the Avalancha Method, whichever one you want to use. I chose to do my smallest loan, which is the Snowball Method. I chose to take my smallest loan, and I said, I want to pay this off fast. So what I did is I paid on my other loans only the interest, and I paid more than the interest on the loan that I'm targeting to pay off. Because what that does is, when you get time to recertify, you're not adding any interest to your principal. You're not adding any interest to your principal. So you may want to consider that. Go ahead and pay just the interest on the some of your loans, and target one loan, whether you want to use the Avalancha Method and pay on the highest interest rate, or if you want to use the Snowball Method and pay on the smallest loan first, then go ahead and do that. And what the Snowball Method, what it does is, it kind of give you a boost. So think about this. If you have 5 loans, and whether it's credit cards or student loans or whatever loans you have, and you have a loan of 10,000, 15,000, 18,000, and you have one loan that's maybe 2,000, and you pay that off, think of the emotional and the mental boost that gives you, because hey, you paid off a loan. So that's what the snowball method, the intent is. It gives you that boost to say, I knocked one out of the ballpark, let me tackle the next one. Now, the Avalancha method, you're paying at the highest, you're targeting the highest interest rate loan first, whether it's student loans, whatever it is. You're targeting the highest one first. And what that means is at the end of your payment, you're paying less interest. So if your interest rates are different, and you target the Avalancha method, then you're paying less interest over time of all those debts. If you do the smaller loan and you have interest rates all over the place, then you're not saving interest as much, but the boost that it gives you, psychological boost that it gives you, is what helps. Now, the thing with making those payments on the different loans, whatever it is always keep in mind, what is your goal? Always keep in mind what your goal is when in trying to target and pay off all those loans. Are you trying to buy something else? Are you trying to because of course, the lower your loan is, your balance is compared to other things that are going on, then the more chance you have for your credit score to go up. So always keep in mind what your goal is in taking care in whether you're going to choose the snowball or the Avalancha method. So that's what I wanted to jump on here and just kind of share for 10-15 minutes on just some little tidbits on student loans. And if there are any questions, just let me know and I will attempt to answer them at this time. You can just post it in the chat. Okay, I'll give it a minute, and if there are no questions, then we can wrap it up. And I will definitely do this again, and we're gonna like to be talking about credit or something like that. But if you are interested in getting a financial plan together, or having someone look at if you are interested in having someone look at your debt, look at your student loans, look at your credit cards, if you're interested in having that, just go ahead and contact me. Go to my website and you can contact me. I have an option there for if you just want to ask questions and just explore options. I have an option there for if you want somebody to put together a plan for you. So jump on the website, share, and let somebody else know that there is a way out. I believe that if there is a plan, there is always a way out with a plan. It may take a year, 2 years, 5 years, but there's always a way out with a plan. And we didn't get into this debt overnight. So we're not going to get out of it overnight. It just takes patience and consistency and work the plan, and we can get out of debt. So again, this is Severin Bryan of SevTalksMoney.com signing out. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you were able to get something out of it. And if I can be of service to you, help you put a plan in place, please go to my website and book an appointment with me. I will be very willing to help you. This is my passion, and I look forward to talking with you. Have a wonderful afternoon.